Hello everyone, welcome to our presentation. Today we're going to explore Earth's landforms. This is Unit 1, Lesson 3, and the focus is on valleys, plateaus, and mountains. I'm excited to take you on this journey to learn more about the fascinating features of our planet's surface. We'll cover what makes each of these landforms unique and how they shape the world around us. Let's get started. So, what exactly are landforms? Well, landforms are the natural features that shape the Earth's surface and create the terrain we see around us. They're basically the Earth's way of carving itself over time. These features are formed through a variety of processes, and understanding these helps us appreciate the diversity of our planet's landscape. For example, erosion caused by water and ice gradually wears away rocks and soil, shaping valleys and other features. Movements in the Earth's crust, like tectonic shifts, can lift land to form mountains or create flat areas like plateaus. Volcanic activity also plays a significant role, building landforms through lava flows and ash deposits. And over long periods, weathering, the breaking down of rocks by wind, water, and temperature changes, continues to shape these features. Today, we're going to focus on three major types of landforms: valleys, plateaus, and mountains. These are some of the most prominent and varied features on our planet, each with unique characteristics and formation processes. Now, I want to make this interactive. Take a look at the image above. I'd like you to think about what landforms you see there. Can you identify the different features? As we go along, take turns pointing out and naming what you see. This will help us connect the concepts to real-world examples and deepen our understanding of landforms. Let's talk about valleys, which are often called the lowlands. So, what exactly is a valley? Well, a valley is basically a hollow or a surface cavity in the earth, usually bordered by hills or mountains. Think of it as a natural ditch carved into the landscape. It slopes down toward a stream, a lake, or even the ocean. This shape forms because of long-term processes like water and ice erosion. Over many years, rivers and glaciers wear away the land, slowly carving out these valleys. You'll find valleys stretching through plains, hills, and mountains alike. They serve an important role because rivers and streams flowing through them drain inland areas, channeling water toward the ocean. Now, if you look at a valley's structure, you'll notice the valley wall and the valley floor. The river runs right through the valley, shaping it over time. And here's an interesting fact: some valleys are so vast that they can actually be seen from space. Quite incredible, isn't it? So, in the grand scheme of Earth's surface features, valleys are essential. They connect landforms and help drain water, shaping the landscape over millions of years. Let's take a closer look at valleys and some fun facts about their structure. The bottom part of a valley is called its floor. Most of these floors slope downstream, following the path of the water that flows through them. The sides of a valley are known as valley walls or valley slopes, and these can be quite steep or gentle depending on the terrain. Along the riverbanks on the valley floor, you'll find an area called a floodplain, which gets flooded when water levels rise. Now, how do valleys form? Most valleys on dry land are shaped by running water, streams, and rivers. When it rains, frost, or wind loosen materials on the land surface, these materials are carried away by the flowing water, gradually carving out the valley over time. This process is fascinating because it constantly reshapes the landscape. An interesting fact is that the bottom of many valleys contains fertile soil, making these areas excellent for farming. That's one reason why many early civilizations chose to settle in valley regions. They had access to rich land for agriculture. Now, to make this a bit more interactive, let's try a word scramble activity. The first word is ROLOF, which hints at the bottom of the valley. The second is LALW, referring to the sides of the valley. Then we have VRIR, which is what flows through the valley, think of water. And finally, DOLOFNILAP points to the area along the riverbank, the floodplain. These key terms help us understand the structure and formation of valleys better. Let's talk about plateaus, which are often called the tabletops of the Earth. So, what exactly is a plateau? Well, a plateau is a large area of highland that is fairly level on top, but rises steeply from the surrounding landscape. Usually, at least one side of a plateau features very steep slopes, making it quite dramatic in appearance. Think of a giant table rising from the Earth's surface, flat on top but with steep sides. These formations can be created in a few different ways. They might form from volcanic eruptions that pile up lava and ash, or through erosion, where softer surrounding land wears away, leaving the hard rock behind. Sometimes, uplift from Earth's tectonic forces pushes land upward, forming a plateau as well. Visually, you can imagine a flat top surface, with steep sides rising sharply from the surrounding lowland areas. And here's an interesting fact. Did you know that the word plateau actually comes from the French word for flat? It's because of their characteristic flat tops that give them such a distinctive look. So, as part of our overall understanding of Earth's landforms, plateaus are significant because they tell us about different geological processes and the history of Earth's surface. They are striking features that stand out in the landscape, combining flatness with dramatic height. Plateaus are found all over the world, and many of the highest ones are actually in deserts. Did you know that plateaus cover about 45% of the Earth's land surface? That's nearly half of the land we see. Some plateaus, like the Plateau of Tibet, are nestled between mountain ranges, while others are higher than the surrounding land. Plateaus are really important because they often contain valuable mineral deposits, which can be mined for resources. They also provide grazing land for animals, supporting local ecosystems and communities. Plus, many major rivers originate from plateaus, making them crucial sources of water. For example, we have the Tibet Plateau, the Colorado Plateau, the Deccan Plateau, and the Ethiopian Plateau, each with its unique features and significance. Now I have an interactive activity called Map It. I want you to look at the world map and see if you can point to where these famous plateaus are located, and see if you can think of any other plateaus you might know about. It's a fun way to connect these features to real places around the globe. Let's talk about mountains, which are often called the giants of the earth. So, what exactly is a mountain? Well, mountains are large landforms that rise high above the land around them, usually forming peaks or ridges that stand out prominently. They are created by powerful forces deep inside the earth, and this process takes a very long time. Isn't it fascinating how such massive structures can form over millions of years? Interestingly, mountains are more common in oceans than on land. Some islands you see might actually be the peaks of underwater mountains emerging from the water. So, in a way, the ocean floor is full of mountain giants just waiting to be discovered. And here's a fun fact. Did you know that the tallest mountain on Earth isn't what you might expect? It's actually Mauna Kea in Hawaii. When measured from its base on the ocean floor, Mauna Kea is over 10,000 meters tall. That's taller than Mount Everest if you measure from sea level. Now I want you to stand up and use your arms to mimic the shape of a mountain. Can you create different mountain shapes? Think about how some mountains are sharp and pointed, while others are more rounded. Let's see those different shapes. Now let's explore how mountains are formed. There are three main processes that create these incredible landforms. The first is called folding. When tectonic plates collide, the Earth's crust doesn't just stay still. It folds and buckles upward, forming mountains over time. This process is responsible for many of the tallest mountain ranges we see today. Next is volcanic activity. Magma from beneath the Earth's crust rises up and erupts through the surface. As lava and ash build up layer by layer, they create volcanic mountains. These mountains often have very distinct shapes and can be quite tall depending on the eruption. The third process is faulting. When the Earth's crust breaks along fault lines, blocks of rock can be pushed up or down relative to each other. This movement can form mountain ranges or isolated peaks, depending on how the fault lines and blocks interact. Most geologists believe that the majority of mountains are formed by these forces: heat, pressure, and movement happening deep beneath the surface. These natural forces are constantly shaping our planet. To help visualize these processes, we have an interactive activity called Build a Mountain. Using Plateau or clay, try creating models of each type of mountain formation. Think about which model results in the tallest mountains or the widest ranges. It's a fun way to connect these concepts to real-world examples. All right, let's go through some practice questions to reinforce what we've learned about landforms. First up, What is the difference between a hill and a mountain? Well, generally, a mountain is larger, steeper, and taller than a hill. Mountains tend to have a more rugged appearance and often rise sharply from the surrounding land, while hills are usually smaller and have a more gentle slope. Next, why is the soil in valleys often fertile? This is because valleys tend to collect nutrient-rich sediments carried by water. Over time, these sediments build up, creating rich, fertile soil that is ideal for plant growth. That's why many valleys are prime spots for agriculture. Now, can you think of a famous plateau? One well-known example is the Tibetan Plateau, often called the roof of the world, because of its high elevation and vast size. Finally, I want you to look at the image above. Can you identify which landforms are valleys, plateaus, or mountains? What features help you distinguish them? Think about the shape, height, and steepness. Valleys are usually low-lying areas between hills or mountains, often with rivers running through them. Plateaus are flat-topped, high areas, and mountains are tall, steep, and rugged. Remember, you can click the Show Answer buttons to check your responses, but I encourage you to try answering first on your own. This will help reinforce your understanding of these landforms and their characteristics. All right, let's move on to some practice questions to really test what we've learned. First up, question 4. How much of the Earth's land surface is covered by plateaus? Take a moment to think about it. Plateaus are quite widespread, covering a significant portion of the land, especially in areas like Africa and Asia. Now, the correct answer is that a large part of the Earth's land surface is covered by plateaus, which are elevated flatlands. Next, question 5 asks, what are the 3 main ways mountains are formed? This is a key concept, as mountains can form through different geological processes. The main ways are tectonic plate collisions, volcanic activity, and uplift caused by Earth's crust movements. Understanding these helps us see how dynamic our Earth's surface really is. Moving on to question 6, what is the bottom of a valley called? That's the valley floor. It's the lowest part of the valley, often where rivers flow or where sediment settles. Recognizing these terms helps us better describe landforms. Now for a bonus challenge, look at the image above. Can you identify which type of mountain formation is shown in each diagram? This will test your visual understanding of different mountain building processes. Finally, we have a quick quiz. Work with a partner. One person asks the questions, and the other tries to answer without looking at the answers. Then switch roles. This interactive activity is a great way to reinforce what we've covered today and make sure you're comfortable with the concepts. Let's keep practicing and reviewing. These questions are really key to understanding Earth's landforms and how they shape our world. All right, now it's time for a fun interactive game called Name That Landform. Here, how it works. I'll show you some images, and your job is to look at each one carefully. Then try to identify which landform you see, whether it's a valley, a plateau, or a mountain. When you think you know the answer, click on the image to reveal it. Keep track of how many you get right. That's part of the challenge and learning process. Let's try a few together. What landform is this? And what about this one? Or this last one? And here's a special bonus challenge. For each landform you identify correctly, can you also name a famous example from around the world? For example, if you see a mountain, maybe Mount Everest. If you see a valley, perhaps the Grand Canyon. Or if it's a plateau, the Colorado Plateau. This game is a great way to reinforce what we've been learning about landforms and to connect those concepts to real-world examples. So, get ready, have fun, and see how many you can identify correctly. Thank you for joining me as we wrap up our exploration of Earth's fascinating landforms. Today, we've learned that valleys are low areas nestled between hills or mountains, often rich with fertile soil, making them important for agriculture and ecosystems. We've also seen that plateaus are flat, elevated regions that cover a significant portion of our planet, about 45% of Earth's land surface, and they often host unique habitats. As for mountains, they are formed through powerful processes like folding, volcanic activity, and faulting, shaping some of the most majestic features on our planet. I encourage you to keep exploring and discovering the incredible variety of Earth's landforms. Our Earth truly is amazing, and it's up to us to protect and appreciate its natural beauty. Let's continue to learn and cherish these wonders together.